Hi, and welcome to the Pure Free Forever podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Boback. In this podcast, we explore 3 perspectives to wellness. One being the body. Pure is the body. Free is the mind, free of limiting beliefs and decisions. Forever is the spirit or the cosmic self. Our energy is forever. We only transform. In this podcast, we focus on these 3 perspectives of wellness. So get ready to indulge in your own wellness, and let's begin. Okay. Hi, welcome to the Pure Free Forever podcast. My name is Michelle Boback. Such an honor and pleasure to have you all join me today in my inaugural podcast. And the amazing Justine Reiss is joining me, and I'm going to introduce her more later. But first, I want to let you know what this podcast is all about. So, Pure Free Forever. What is it? It's a phrase. It's a philosophy. It is speaking about the body being pure organic material. So you are what you eat. We are what we consume. Free is the mind, free of limiting beliefs and decisions. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I use a lot of reframing and remodeling to help my clients and people open up their minds to new possibilities and to release old habits, right? When we have an unlimited and open mind, anything is possible. We're not being controlled by past trauma and fears. Forever is the body, the energetic self, or the spirit. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. It transforms. It never dies. And I run on these 3 philosophies when I'm working in my healing sessions or in my meditations. My philosophy on life is thus. And so you can expect these podcasts to follow one of those 3 approaches, or even all 3 at the same time. So today, for episode 1, my inaugural podcast, I decided to approach the voice.
Aha!
Which is why...
And not to show the voice, in case you're curious.
Not to show the voice. No. Definitely not. Mm-mm. But this amazing vocal empowerment and transformational coach, Justine Reiss, could be on The Voice because she's that talented and that amazing. Yeah. And Justine and I met playing beach volleyball.
We did.
Many, many years ago on Will Rogers. We still play. You can come, cheer us on Saturdays.
Don't think we're good. Or at least don't think I'm good, but you can come.
I'm all right.
Yeah,
she's
all right. She's all right. She plays outside of the beach. I don't. But anyway, it's super fun.
Yeah, but you bring the fun.
I bring the fun.
You bring the fun.
And occasionally a couple good serves.
Yeah, hell yeah, girl. Yeah, you can serve. Yeah, and cool pants. Justine always has
sometimes
the best
some
pants.
cool pants. Yeah. I'm not wearing pants right now. That's the beautiful thing about voiceover. No, I am wearing pants.
I'm so glad.
Just so you know, though, one of the beauties of voiceover now is we will wear pants, but they don't have to be, they can be pajama pants.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're like a mullet. You're all business at the top and all party at the bottom.
It's so true.
So Justine, I asked her to come on because I wanted to speak just briefly about what it is about the voice that made me feel like this would be a really great first episode. And working with clients, working with the public, one thing that I've really noticed is how stifled people, can feel with their opinion, with expressing their voice. Even singing can be really, really hard for people, right? Just making a noise. Even sometimes in a yoga class, when you say open mouth, exhale, ha, some people can't ha. There's like zero sound coming out.
Can I just tell you, there was a yoga class years ago, because I love getting in the yoga class and doing the big, if they tell me, usually they don't need to tell me. So I was in a class and I was doing my normal thing because I love to vocalize. And a woman came up to me and she's like, "You were really loud in class." Like she was annoyed. And I was like, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's another great example of how little things can shut us down. Because then, of course, what's my mind do? Oh, God, maybe that wasn't okay. Maybe when I'm in a yoga class and I'm not invited to exhale loudly, I should not. Yeah. So one more time, even in a freaking yoga class, let me stifle my own voice when I am a voiceover, person. Yeah. So it's amazing to me how those little things will happen. Yeah. And I still remember this, and this was years ago.
Yeah, and it had big impact.
Exactly.
For me, the first time I felt my voice shut down, I was in like an artsy school, and we had like a band, and we had like all this equipment from the university. It was like grade 5, grade 6, and my first crush. Yeah. My best friend also liked him, and we were singing, and I was like part of the band. I was like the lead singer, so I was like la 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 la,
And the vocal lady, our coach, comes over, and I'm sitting beside this dude, and my friend's on the other side, and I can hear that she's not singing well, and neither is he for that matter.
Oh,
but
dear.
she comes over, and she's like, somebody's off tune here. And I went, and I just knew it wasn't me, and she knew me. She was my vocal coach, right? And the guy I liked went, it's her, and he pointed to me, and I was like, ah. So in that moment, I learned many things, that he preferred my friend over me.
Okay, sometimes these lessons are hard to take, but better to approach just head on like that.
Right? Yeah. And it shut me down. I couldn't sing after that. I remember being away from the mic and being like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed again. And
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So these things, they shut us down. And this happens like
over and over again. But I also think it's natural. It's sort of like you can't stop these things from happening.
Yeah.
But the trick, what I have noticed more recently in the transformational space, getting away from just doing voiceover or just coaching voiceover specifically, which I love to do, because most of what I think I bring to the table is how to get someone to be really authentic with their words. And I feel like it's kind of a superpower. And I know you're good at it as well.
That's called satya in yoga for my students.
I love that. So bring in the satya.
Yeah.
Bringing the satya. So bringing that into the space, but also really starting to recognize when were these moments so that we can just release them. We're not going to stop them from happening. And maybe some people have a bigger story than that. You know, they have or maybe more of a traumatic story. Yeah. And I'm not a therapist, and I sometimes need to recognize that we need to, you know, get outside help for things like this. But I think it's these subtle things, and it's buildup. It's like gunk in the pipeline. So what we want to do is clear that gunk so that we can continually go back to that authentic voice and reclaim it. And that's what has been my thing lately, is using that word instead of finding the voice, reclaiming what is already rightfully ours, that we were born with. We come out of the womb and we are crying, right? We come out of the womb crying.
Yeah.
And then I think there's these things, and that's what we do. And if you watch babies, actually, you will see them cry to laughter, to hunger, to, you know, pooping themselves, all these things. And the expression will come out in the voice. And then there's a certain moment where maybe the first time you remember being shut down, which for me was 4th grade, when I wrote a little story, which I thought was really wonderful. Creative writing assignment was called The Sexy Snowflake. That's what my story was. And I turned the story, and I was very proud. The little snowflake had to step on her tippy toes to kiss the big snowflake. That was as sexy as it got.
Yeah.
And my teacher was like, Mrs. Fleer, horn-rimmed glasses, sprayed gray hair. That's what I remember most. This was the 70s, not to date myself. And she was like, this is inappropriate. I'm calling your mother.
Right.
I'm calling her, well, she know what was going on in my house, but that's a whole other story. But the whole thing is, I remember, to this day, I remember that. And the next memory I have about being shut down was 5th grade, when I wanted to be in the school play, and my teacher, Mrs. Patch, red hair.
Mrs. Patch.
Mrs.
Are
Patch.
you listening?
Yeah, Mrs. Patch, are you out there somewhere? Because this hurt me. I couldn't be in the school play because my grades were not good enough. So these
That's
things...
always a bummer.
Started to that's another way I was starting to identify myself, was I'm not smart, and I'm not allowed to be fun and creative, so maybe I'm not really a good actress anyway, but I'm cute. And so I think going into high school, junior high and high school, it was about fitting in at that point.
Right. You just kind of shut the parts of you down that might be outside the box and try to squeeze yourself into whatever mold you feel is going to be safe for you at that time.
Right.
And
it was like Charlie's Angels. I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I have Farrah Fawcett hair, you know? And that really went on for freshman and sophomore year until my parents pushed me to go to drama camp. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to because I was so comfortable fitting in. I was terrified at that point to stand out. So these are the buildup. That was my gunk that was starting to build up.
Yeah.
And
finally, how old were you when they...
Sophomore, junior year. So that's like, what, 15, 16?
Yeah.
16, about 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going. I don't want to be one of those weird drama people. And my mom was like, you're going. And I was like, well, what if I hate it? Yeah, you are. Luckily, now I can own that. You know, and my mom said, you can come home. And that was that. I'm like, okay, how bad could this be? So I always think about that moment, because that was when I I never wanted to come home. I started to
love
find
that.
my voice.
Yeah, you reclaimed it.
I reclaimed it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the end. Like but that was the beginning. That was the beginning of understanding, like, stepping into my power. It was powerful. I came back to school. I got the lead in the school play. My friends, my popular girlfriends, they didn't reject me. They embraced this.
You sexy snowflaked all over
I
there.
sexy snowflaked all over the Rio Americana High School. So anyway, and I feel like those
that's a beautiful
things.
story. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then, I mean, we could go on with how in a marriage feeling shut down but that's the beginning. So I think it's those origin kind of going back to those moments that are suddenly have become fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have to get into the more adult versions of being shut down.
Right. Yeah. And once you start peeling, like, this one thing that I've noticed, that's a really beautiful gift of doing the work, is that as soon as you start peeling or cleaning out that gunk, the ferocity and the energy that you're creating by addressing that and healing begins to just help you, right? It just begins to create this forward motion, this flow of healing motion, and then all this stuff begins to just sort of come out, and you don't have to dig as hard to get it going. It's just right. It's
or
happening.
you don't have to take as long to release it.
Yeah.
You don't have to attach yourself to it.
Yeah.
In the same way, you don't want to attach yourself to all the great things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen Inside Out 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now super great.
Yeah.
And I just was blown away by that movie in terms of the anxiety, trying to run the show, trying to take control, and how Joy's coming in and, like, trying to get anxiety out of the way and, like, take all the bad feelings and put them in the back of your mind, and then they're trying to get just the allegory of it, the metaphor of it is so beautiful. And I think we can all learn so much from that it's not about shoving these memories aside. It's sort of like, let's look at them and then keep them in the river with everything else. Speaking of rivers.
Speaking of rivers, and that's true though too, that we're going to hold on to that segue, but that's what I do in sessions with people, right? We go back to the source event and we look at the source event with the wisdom that you have now. We're never reliving the trauma. We're observing it as a witness, like a bird, right? You're disassociated. You're observing it.
Yes.
And then we take that wisdom you have now and we reframe it, right? That's say, what's important to learn now? What are you ready to let go? Right? And in that process, you begin that deep paradigm alignment, right? Which creates also energetically in the body, because some people actually feel blocked, like physically blocked in the throat. Yeah, there's no flow. So speaking of flow, Justine introduced me and, like, a whole bunch of other people to this place in Costa Rica called Rios Lodge. And it is an eco-conservation lodge on the Pequari River in the province of Limon in Costa Rica. So it's a little closer to the east coast, to the Caribbean. You're about 2 hours from the shore. And boy, oh boy, is it magic. So I know a lot of you have already seen my Instagrams and all this stuff that we've been promoting. It is like an adventure retreat. Hey, like, it starts. Tell them how it starts.
Okay.
Tell them.
What's so cool is it starts, you arrive in San Jose, you'll stay over, you'll have a delicious meal, and then the next day we put in the river. So going into the river, we raft in, and with very incredible river guides that are incredibly safe. They instruct you exactly what to do and how to do it, and they take it very seriously. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have fun, because you will. But you know what to do. And I think going in is a little shorter of a ride because we raft out also. So the adventure begins really when you start putting your stuff in the dry bags.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Yeah, on the shore.
Yeah. And it really came to me because I got to go, and there's a beautiful connection to my past with this place, because about 12 years ago, my parents took my family, my two boys and my husband at the time, to Costa Rica. And we had this amazing guide, and he was primarily a river guide, but he was our guide for the whole 8 days. And his name was Jorge. And as I was getting ready to go on this trip, my son said to me, "You should go find Jorge." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Well, it turns out, as the universe would have it, that Jorge Calderon is in partnership with the Rios Lodge and is their #1 adventure raft guide. He's also a brilliant mind in terms of every plant and bug and walking stick that you could pick up, and he'll have a history for it. So this was a beautiful synchronicity which I don't believe there's any mistakes. And this made this place even more magical for me. And I think when you get there and you hear the river and everything is that we do there, so we're calling this this adventure we want you to join us on, the Edge of Discovery, until the second half.
And reclaim your voice and empower your spirit.
Right.
You can't help it in the jungle.
You really can't.
Yeah.
In fact, something happened to me while I was there that I got very upset about, and I went down to the river and I just screamed it out. And that was something I didn't plan on. But there is something very magical. We do walking and hiking in the water.
Mm-hmm. Waterfall hike.
It's all guided. It's all safe.
There's zip lining through the canopy.
There is tubing. And there is also hanging out in a hammock, much like that one behind us. And you can do less.
Mm-hmm. There's incredible food, the restaurant. You can just sit, lounge with your food. There's a bar for people that want full service. Yeah, and then there's so many beautiful, just natural moments that you can experience at the lodge. Yeah, you don't even have to go on the eco hike. There's a conservation hike where you actually get to plant a tree, because part of Rios Lodge is this foundation called RAFA, which is Rivers and Forest Association.
Yes.
And it's conservation. So like we made mud balls that had a healthy bacteria in it, and then you make these mud balls, and you get into a big mud ball fight. Oh, this is great. And we're going to do this.
I know, I love it.
And you throw the mud balls into the river, and these mud balls are eating all the poor bacteria, all the garbage bacteria in the river. So you're cleaning the river while having fun. They're so creative there. Hey,
that's the thing. And the people there, much like, I have this relationship with Jorge, but like Arturo, who the people that have taken over the lodge itself, because this gentleman, Rafa, was an incredible river, rafter himself. I believe he was like even in the Olympics, and he passed away during COVID, not due to COVID. But that's when I think this reinvigorated. They're like, we can't let this place go down. We've got to really keep this place going. And
he was special.
It's so special. Yeah. So we decided to combine, and I loved, while I was there, all I kept thinking about is this is a great place to push your edge. And your edge might be the zip line. And someone else's edge might be the waterfall hike in the water.
Or going, in yoga.
Yeah. And making sound.
Yeah.
So we thought, what a wonderful experience to combine this pushing your edge, reclaiming the voice with exercise, meditation. I'm also a meditation facilitator. So is Michelle. We have different backgrounds. I work with the Dream Bigger Foundation to dream beyond our circumstances. So this is all, we want you to leave with a newfound sense of self, of reclaiming your voice, and really visualizing what you would want to push further in your own life. Yeah. And using some of these modalities and the zip lining and the freedom you feel, or even the fear that you're facing.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to do anything that they're uncomfortable with.
But vocalize it, right?
Yes.
We want to hear it. We want to be there to support you, and we can't do that unless you let us know.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we're most excited about, is combining our forces. And this is just the beginning of the kinds of retreats that we want to do. But this is such a perfect place to begin and have this journey of this reclamation of what is rightfully ours, and how does it incorporate, for one person, it might be just the experience of doing this. For someone else, it might be starting to write a book or getting up on stage and speaking. And that's how we can continue working even when we get back, because we don't want to just stop here. We want to develop community. That's the other thing. This is so much about community.
Yeah. And what's so beautiful too is you can come alone and build community there. You can come with friends, with family, and bring your community to Rios, because the second that you get to Rios, your community there. And that's what's also so special about it. All the guides, the owners, the staff in the restaurant, the ground staff, everybody is so nice, and you feel welcome. You feel connected. And, there's something special about people that live in the jungle. I have to say, their nervous systems are like,
for real. It's what we all want. And the thing about it is, I think you found this when you were there too, is that the people that are invested in Rios Lodge, from Justin, Sam, Vanessa, Roberto, and then Jorge, Arturo, they have this sense of pura vida, which is, you'll hear that a lot, this sense of living life and staying present. And I don't know about you, but I, just coming out of, we're just right now coming out of a holiday, and we are just getting so caught up in the doing. And so to be able to go there and then try and bring some of that back to our daily life is the other thing.
Totally.
How do we do that?
Yeah. I hit a wall when I got back. I walked into my life and I went, what is this stress? Exactly. I had to take a moment. Yeah.
And
wild.
so I think the more that we can, through these different ways of reclaiming ourselves through meditation, yoga, I'm hoping Michelle will do a little bit of past life regression if people want to. We both have different specialties to do potentially some one-on-one work, but we're very open. We want to make this as collaborative as possible and be an experience that you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of tailoring your experience. Yeah. So, and as are you. So,
as am I.
Yeah. So this is up to you, your adventure.
It is definitely. Yeah. And to not get away too much from the fact that we do have this shared experience of narrating things, giving our voice to commercials, to messaging. My favorite thing lately has been doing audiobooks, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Taking and
cathartic,
being able to, it is, and bringing different characters and dialects. So every time I take a trip like this, I do lots of accents. Yes. So if you go back and you want to look up my name on Amazon or Audible, there's a book that just came out called Clara's Truth on Audible, How to Make a Life, and Street Corner Dreams. And all three of them are sort of historical fiction.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Polish and Russian, and it's fun.
Cool.
It's fun
so
stuff.
Cool. So you got to check Justine out. And check out the links below. We have our Costa Rica retreat up and running for registration for March 23rd to the 29th. We've had a few. Just keep your eyes open for deals. We have, if two of you register at the same time, then we have a safe $300 deal on for both of you. So as two or more people, whoever's registering together, bam, 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 you all get that deal. For our friends in Canada, we're offering an equal exchange. Hooray!
Yay for that exchange. I know that's rough stuff.
It's
on
a
you
big
Canadians.
One. You deserve it, Canada.
You do.
You all deserve it over there. I see.
And there's different price points too, and different kinds of accommodation. And I have to say, the Eco Lodge, I forget what they call it. It's not
beautiful.
What do they call the
Eco Hostel?
The Eco Hostel. Thank you. The
But
Eco
it's not
Hostel
like a hostel.
is
It's
like
a
super
nice hostel.
amazing. And if you brought, I was just talking to a friend of mine who is thinking about a group of women. I'm like, if 4 of you wanted to share one of those rooms, that would be a blast. And the bathrooms are amazing.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah,
so if you need to
beautiful.
save a little bit of money, or if you want the double occupancy, or you want your own room, there's lots of options for you. And it's all very, very beautiful accommodations, but also rustic as well. And you can see everything on the website.
Yeah, everything's been shipped in on the raft.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
It's
they
crazy.
make their own electricity there. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, it is.
And you do feel that there's just been so much care taken in that. And just the idea.
You feel the love in the paths. Like the paths are hand-laid stones from 20 years of them laying these stones.
Yes.
Like it's just, you feel the love. And when a stone goes out of place, you're like, oh, little guy.
And I think that's, I don't know, for me.
You want to put the stone back. You want to care for it.
That's right.
You
Having
do.
that connection to Jorge, that just, this was such a weird coincidence that he's there, and he's such a good river guide, as are all these river guides. They are, you again just feel so well cared for. And Arturo, Justin, Sam, if they happen to be there, they are very, very well. Some of them run other rafting organizations here in the United States, like up in Oregon and stuff. Oregon, yeah. So it's really all of that. All of that is there. Bless you. Thank you for using your voice. But we are excited. We are excited to have this offering, and not to mention, we haven't fully decided exactly how every day will begin, but there will be offerings that will be optional, from meditation, yoga. We want to give you some free time to have spaciousness in this space, and
journaling,
to enjoy
workshops, cacao.
Yeah. Because
There's 4 full days at Rios.
Yes.
Yeah, 4 full days in the jungle, and then your starter day is in San Jose, and your ending day is in San Jose, and that's the day you fly out. So there's lots of time,
Yep.
right? To get everything in and to rest, or to just like hyper rest, or to like get really submersed in the workshop
And can I
events.
tell you what I realized while I was there that I loved so much compared to the trip I had taken years ago? Years ago, we were driving to get to all these locations to do the zip lighting. Then we get back in the car and drive out, or to go rafting and then get back in the car and go somewhere, and to go to Arenal and experience. What I love about this is you get there and all the adventure awaits.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
Everything is right there, and there's no option to go shopping. You're not getting in a car and going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Your
that's
biggest
beautiful.
decision is when to go down and get your Wi-Fi.
Or maybe your coffee.
Or your coffee. Coffee all day. Coffee and tea for you tea drinkers. I know we've got a thing going between the coffee drinkers and the tea drinkers.
And that is really, it's such a treat too, the way the food is prepared really amazingly well.
And the portions are great. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's a treat. So we should wrap this up.
We should.
If you would like to join our Q&A, and you're watching this before December 12th, it's December 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And all you have to do is email me your email address, and I send you the Zoom link. We want to kind of vet everybody, make sure that, you know, it's not just people coming on to sell us insurance.
And by the way,
like that,
I think this will be a vetted trip as well for everybody. Like this trip, you can't just sign up for this and show up, right? We want to curate the group a bit.
Yeah. High vibers, my friends. High vibers.
Yeah.
So thank you all so very much for joining me in my very first podcast.
I love that.
And thank you for being my first guest.
I love that too. And if you are interested in checking out, I have a podcast called The Voiceover Pod with Justine Reiss, where we talk about all kinds of things about the voice. It's not just about voiceover. Sometimes it's about voices of diversity, voices of spirituality. So I'll have you on that podcast.
I like
next.
that. Yes,
So and that's where we're going. Yes. So we can talk about that too. If some of you have interest in doing voiceover, Michelle and I are quite well versed in how to help you get started in that arena.
Yeah, and we'll put some links for Justine's stuff below as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's got a book. She's in a few books as well.
Yeah.
So
It's
we'll
all
get that
true.
on.
It's all true. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for having me. I love that.
Sayonara.